Hey guys, HuShang here. Welcome to another Starcraft 2 lesson. In this video, we're going to be watching a Zerg vs Terran. I played on the ladder. It's against a 5,000 MMR Terran player, so no slouch in the matchup. And I wanted to try something a little bit new. So I'm experimenting this game. Normally in TVZ, you're playing against some sort of Hellion opener. And so generally what I do is make a bunch of queens and some Zerglings and then defend that way. But the problem with that is Zerg is inherently a defensive race, at least in my opinion. So it kind of contradicts my style. So what I wanted to do this game is try out some other options. So I'm going to make some Roaches this game, try out some early pressure. It does feel like it's kind of weak from a theoretical standpoint because you're investing early gas into these units, so you kind of need to do something. But it does cause a pretty big reaction a lot of the time from the Terran. So I'm not exactly sure what we can do with this. Like I said, I'm just experimenting, but I think it's a fun game to show you guys. And this Terran is very good. So first Overlord is going across the map. See what he's doing. Second Overlord's making sure he's not proxying me. Before we get too much into this video, I want to tell you guys a little bit about the Grandmaster tier for YouTube membership. We have about 5 people right now, and basically the tier gives you all of my coaching VODs that I record, as well as a weekly practice meetup. We're meeting up every Saturday at 3 p.m. CST, and basically it's just like a group coaching session. So I'm coaching for like the full hour. We're playing some games, talking about them, and just working on some specific things to make everybody better. So I think it's a ton of fun. I think it's super cheap. It's cheaper than my normal lessons, and it's 4 coaching sessions a month. So pretty good deal, I think. But anyways, you can check that out by clicking on join beside the subscriber button. So just some normal harass here. I've been making 6 Zerglings instead of 4. Just kind of makes things easier when they try to jump in between your base. But you definitely can get away with 4. And 6 is also nice sometimes when you want to body block, like right here, for example, we get to kill that Reaper. I don't think we would have killed that Reaper if we had 4. So a little more resources, but I think they give you some nice tools. You could even counterattack their natural with the Zerglings as long as you're out by about 320. Hellions finish at 330. So macroing up, gonna fill our gas pretty soon. Not sure where I want this creep tumor, this second creep tumor. I put it here on the ramp. I kind of like that, but it might actually be stronger. I was thinking about this earlier. It might be stronger at the 3rd, and then the next creep tumor could be at the ramp. And then that way I have all 3 queens back at the natural by 4, which is when these Hellions usually show up. Now he does get a drone there, but you can actually kite with Zerglings. I think a lot of people don't know this. You can A-move Zerglings, like they're melee units, but if you attack move, you can actually get them to attack quicker than if you attack move. If that makes sense. So just moving right after they attack, basically. Alright, so I messed up my scout a little bit here, microing those lings. So we're about 20 seconds late. Fortunately for me though, I did see that Raven, which was a pretty big scout, so now I'm not really too worried about something like Battlecruiser. So I'm gonna grab my Evos. And here's when I wanted to try out the Roach pressure. I think this is later than I would do it if this was my plan originally. But it's not super late or anything, it's just it would be better if I made those instead of the lings. So I purposely let this queen almost die because I wanted to save these drones for as long as possible. Let them mine a little bit more. And I mean, that queen health doesn't really matter anyways. So it's kind of just using this Raven to harass a little bit, clear the creep. We don't really see a lot of pro players do that, but I don't think it's that bad. It's just not as strong as some other options like Banshees. So he manages to get a couple drones here. Nothing too crazy though. And he did see my roaches here, so he's pulling back his units. And he's not really sure what I'm doing exactly. Like, am I making, you know, 30 roaches here? Or am I making 8 roaches? So he kind of panics a little bit. Gets up a bunker, makes some tanks. And my plan is pretty simple. Just to pressure with around 8 roaches. I think I made a little more than that. I think I made like 10 or 12. But do some light pressure with the roaches. Force a response. And just kind of get them on the back foot, because when you're playing aggressive, you kind of want to make them uneasy. The more uneasy you can make them, the more mistakes they're gonna make. So we just come in here. He's pretty ready, killing all his depots. I don't really want to try to break him. This is a pretty light committal, so I just want to get some harass in. Now he did have a tank, unfortunately, which is probably my fault because I went for this so late. If I had done it a bit earlier, it probably would have been quite a bit more effective. But he does get a tank out, so he's pretty safe. And then behind this, I know he's not going for any air units because of the Raven, so I'm going to get the 1-1 upgrades pretty fast. And I'm going to delay my lair and Bay Nest. And I think tomorrow I'm going to do a guide on how to set up your economy if you want to play aggressive or defensive. It seems like a simple concept, I think, to most GMs, but whenever I'm coaching, this seems to be like the #1 thing that people are doing wrong with any race, is just setting up their economy incorrectly for how they want to play the game, whether it's defensive or aggressive. So I think we'll talk about that tomorrow. Maybe specifically against Protoss. I tried to do a little counterattack here, thinking this was his full army, but it was not. And I also kind of misjudged this fight. I don't really play roaches too much, so I think what happened is, because I really thought those roaches were going to win. So I think what happened is I'm used to not playing roaches, and when I did play roaches in the past, I was playing against 2-on-1 openings a lot, which don't have combat shield. So I think I just have like a bad read of who's supposed to win those fights. But now we have 1-1. And he didn't really micro for some reason, which was nice. You notice that as my Banes were going in though, I made some more Banelings behind. This is a pretty good thing to know if you're a Zerg player, is the time it takes to make the Banelings is about the same amount as the time it takes to fight. So if you make some Banelings as your first round is heading in, then they should finish up for the next fight. I think his biggest mistake here, like this game is not really supposed to end right now, but I think his massive mistake here is that he lets me catch his tanks. And so he really doesn't have anything right now. He's also lost a lot of reinforcements, so I'm ready to pull the trigger here. Making some Hydra, massing a lot of Ling. You can see I'm still on 6 gas, which is really how you want to do it if you're playing aggressive. That tank did quite a bit of work, but our Bane speed finishes. We have a ton of units. That last fight went amazing for us. And just barely he has enough to hold on here. You might think the Zerglings can fight that, but it's a little bit sketchy, so we might as well just pull back, remake our Banelings, and then go for another push. You don't want to throw away your Zerglings, even though they're fairly cheap. Also not a bad idea to wait for the 2-2. I'm not sure if I do that or not. And I'm just noticing now it's the wrong 2-2 somehow. I guess I was thinking I was playing Roaches or something, but somehow I have +2 ranged. So not sure what I'm doing there. But we set up this fight, try to get as much of a concave as possible. I mean, he really doesn't have too much, so it's not going to make a huge difference. But come in here with 2-2. I saw this Widowmine, so I split my units. And I tried to actually attack move the Widowmine there, but I missed like very slightly. But yeah, he really doesn't have anything to kill us here.